Hi,
Who the fuck is this guy?
my name's Mark. So the day started well. I just found out that in a couple of months, Guthrie Govan is coming to Portugal to do a clinic.
Hell yeah.
And of course, me being a huge Guthrie Govan fan, I was like, and awesomely enough, it's not 3 hours away. I'm definitely going to buy the tickets after this.
Good for you.
Guitar clinics really aren't that common here in Portugal. Right now, the ones that come to mind were Andy Timmons a couple years ago and Alex Hutchings like probably a year ago already. And even though we have these kind of music fests in the classical and jazz genres, and sometimes a really good player is invited to do a kind of a workshop or something like it, the more modern guys really don't come here that often. And it's all because they're not asked to or they're not invited to. But that's a whole other subject.
Get on with it!
Coming in contact with these news about Guthrie Govan made me start a new series. I actually been wanting to start this series for a while now, but I always thought, well, that video is going to take some work, and I'm not really sure people are going to dig it, but I'm starting it today. And it's basically like why you don't sound like blank.
Yeah, that's cool.
I already have some ideas, like for instance, why you don't sound like jazz, or why you don't sound like country, or maybe why you don't sound like gent. If you're interested in any of those, please leave me a comment below telling me so. And tell me, which one should I do first?
Nobody cares.
And as you read the title, this video is going to be why you don't sound like Guthrie Govan.
Are you sure about that?
And before we get into it, I just want to say, please subscribe to my channel and turn on all the notifications.
Yeah, maybe.
YouTube has been acting a little bit weird lately. Even if you subscribe to a channel, you may really not be notified of that channel's content. And even sometimes, if you ring the little bell button and you turn on the notifications, you still may not be notified of that channel's content.
Hey man, that's not cool.
You gotta make sure you turn on all the notifications or something weird like it. So please, if you wanna make sure you're up to date with my content, please subscribe to my channel, turn on all the notifications, and follow me on social media. And while you're down there, consider leaving a like. Even if you don't care for none of that, stay till the end of the video. I have a giveaway you might be interested in. And it involves subscribing to my channel and follow me on social media.
Oh, hell no!
And there are perhaps some of my other videos that you may also want to check out after this one. If you want some more Guthrie Govan content, you may want to check out how to improvise like Guthrie Govan. Or maybe Guthrie Govan versus John Petrucci. Should you even practice guitar? And lastly but not leastly, even though it's not really a Guthrie Govan video, but it's important if you want to get into Guthrie Govan matters, you may want to check out 5 music theory concepts explained for guitar. Those videos will either be on the card section right there, or on the annotations of the end screen. So please, stay tuned.
Oh, that's fancy!
Before we get into the playing part of this, I just want to say some disclaimers. Some of the things I'm going to tell you may really not be things that you really aren't doing to sound like Guthrie Govan. Maybe you already do these things, or do things similar. But there may be something you can learn from this too. If you're this huge Guthrie Govan fan, like I am, you've probably seen all of those Guthrie videos going on YouTube. And every time a new video comes out that you haven't seen, you're like, ooh! And watching those videos, even if they're just gear reviews or gear demos or perhaps rig rundowns, they can all add to your knowledge about Guthrie Govan and what type of licks he plays and how he plays and all of that stuff.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And maybe perhaps some of the things I'm going to say next you have already heard before or figured out before, but there may be some things that you can also learn from this. And obviously, if you want to get into that Guthrie Govan style of playing, some things that you can do that you don't really need your guitar for are, for instance, listening to his songs.
The prophecy is true.
I don't know what you're thinking,
If I want to get into Guthrie Govan style of playing, of course I'm going to check out his songs.
but I don't just mean listening to his songs like, oh yeah, I've heard that song before, or maybe I saw a video of him playing it live or something. I really mean listen to the songs, and listen to the songs multiple times, because there are always going to be some little details that you don't pick up when you first hear the song, or maybe when you hear the song a second time or a third time. And if you can, don't just check out his album or the Aristocrat songs.
Wait, what?
Also check out some of the bands he's been in. For instance, he played in Asia for like, I don't know, 2001, 2002, to like 2005 maybe. Check out some of the Asia concerts from back then. Even if he's playing parts that he didn't really originally write, there's a lot of things you can learn from that. Also, go listen to his influences. If you want to get that Guthrie Govan sound, if he says he was influenced by like Scotty Moore, go listen to Scotty Moore. If he says he's a big Frank Zappa fan, go listen to Frank Zappa. And all of those other guys. All of these small little things can make a big difference. So try it out if you want to.
That's too much, man.
I guess it's probably better to move on to the playing part, right?
No.
Couple goals when your bay matches with your outfit. Again, just a couple of things before we get into the playing part. This guitar isn't really the most Guthrie Govan-esque, but don't worry, she'll do the job. Also, I have my guitar tuned a half step down. but you don't really need to worry much about it. I was going to grab my telly and standard tuning, but I broke a string just before recording this video, and I really need to record this right now. So yeah, if we start with the easier stuff, even though Guthrie Govan is kind of categorized as this fusion guitar player, his major influences aren't really fusion stuff, they're more blues stuff, and that shows a lot in his playing, so you may want to grasp a little on the blues. Also, even though he's quite proficient at basically every technique, some that stand out are his legato playing, take in mind, I may not be the most proficient at some of these techniques, but that's not the point of this video. Another technique he's quite proficient at is tapping. His bends are just insane. His alternate picking is also crazy, but I think what's most important to grasp about Guthrie's playing is his natural vibe and kind of phrasing. As I mentioned before, he's influenced by a lot of blues, and even when he's playing the blues and plays all of those cliché licks that we all play, like, or like,
Please proceed, Governor.
one thing that he likes to do a lot is when ending a phrase, for instance, some of us do, that may be your kind of cliche way to end a phrase, even if you do another phrase like, it's not really the same phrase there. One thing I noticed is that his kind of cliche way to end a phrase, and with cliche I mean he does this a lot, is that he does this. Or maybe. And I may be biased, but it's a really cool way to end a phrase. Not only because you're trying to sort of hit a chord note, he slightly bends it, giving it that blues feel or that microtonal bend like. But yeah, that's important. Playing a note, sliding from that note to another note, then slightly bending that note, or even bending it a lot, is a really Guthrie Govan-esque thing to do, like those. Another thing that's really important about Guthrie, and maybe perhaps you're not doing, is that since he's mostly self-taught, he really isn't one of those guys that's like, I'm just a 3 notes per string type of player, or maybe I'm just a cage type of playing, or perhaps I'm just a triadic type of playing. He does them all. And it is not just like, oh, one time he's playing 3 notes per string and the other time he's playing cage. To be honest, it kind of mixes them effortlessly.
I know, that's crazy.
Another thing that many people talk about when they talk about Guthrie Govan is his more jazzier type of playing and the way he plays over chord changes and improvises. Well, the way he improvises is a whole nother deal, and I highly suggest you go check out the video I mentioned before, right there. But when it comes to the way he plays over chord changes, if you haven't checked out the video series, when he's in Joe Satriani's guitar camp or something like it, and he talks about this, like, when you have a chord progression like, he pretty much explains that, well, you have a chord, and you have another chord, if you have E minor to C minor, you can just keep playing like, I don't know, your E minor pentatonic. And it comes time to that C minor. He explains that you don't really need to know these crazy scales or trying to learn fancy arpeggios and play real fast. You can just try and hit those chord notes. You're a liar. For instance, if you have C minor, you have C, G, and E flat. And when you have E minor, you have E, B, E, and G. You can just keep playing your minor pentatonic stuff. But I could keep talking about this for like an hour.
Boring.
When it comes to his more kind of jazzier type of playing, if you've seen the series he did with Guitar World, or maybe you've checked out some of his videos where he talks about this chord progression, And he says, well, just try Dorian, keep playing your minor pentatonic stuff. And then add those little Dorian notes like... But that's not completely how he uses it. He actually talks about it in that same video. It's something that, since he plays so effortlessly and so fast, and I've seen that some of my students who are also Guthrie Govan fans maybe haven't completely grasped it. Which is, when he says play those Dorian notes, he really means play those Dorian notes. He doesn't just use them as a passing note. He actually lands on those notes. Like, for instance, if I play a regular blues note, it was generally pentatonic stuff, and it was generally a blues lick. But there was that little moment when I landed on that sixth, in this case this F sharp or maybe F note. I landed on that note on a stronger beat. It's not just using it as a passing tone to get from like the 5th to the 7th, like... Another example would be, for instance, on that Larry Carlton improvisation, where he goes... He's landing on that 9th, or that 2nd, over C. This case is probably over C minor, or perhaps C dominant 7, I think it's C minor. And he doesn't really play it as a passing note. He lands on that note, and he forces you to listen to that note. And a lot of it is tension and release. It gives us that spicy playing that Guthrie has. And again, I mentioned that just at Riani workshop. He likes really bright sounding stuff. And what I mean about bright, I don't mean like... I mean in a scalar context. Without getting too much into this, there are bright scales and there are dark scales, and some scales are brighter than others. But one way you can think about this is if you have your major scale, if you flatten one of those notes, the scale becomes darker. If you sharpen it, it becomes brighter. For instance, just looking at the major modes of the major scale, if you play Mixolydian, which is the exact same scale, but you flatten one note, the 7th, that scale is slightly darker than the original major scale. And if you play Lydian, for instance, which has a sharp 4, Lydian is slightly brighter than your regular major scale. This can prove the scalar choices he uses. If he has a minor chord, he'll probably use Dorian. Or maybe he'll use the melodic minor scale. And since we're talking about the jazzier playing, even if it does this crazy stuff like... Even though you look at it and you think, oh, this is kind of B minor pentatonic-ish, he's really not just playing notes in between. This is what I want you to get. Is it playing passing tones? Yes. Is it playing chromatic notes between the notes of the scale he's thinking of? Yes. But he's thinking of the notes he wants to land in.
My brain hurts!
Of course, all of Guthrie's magic is not just playing... He just plays these sorts of licks with incredible technique, incredible feel, incredible knowledge, incredible experience. He will just effortlessly burst that out. In whichever key you tell him to play, in whichever position you tell him to play, in whichever genre of music you tell him to play, he's just... yeah, a beast. And I can't wait to see him in October. Just a little note before we fade out. Remember this. Guthrie Govan started playing when he was like 5 or something. And Google is telling me he was born in 1971. So he's 46 years old. Even if he had just started playing when he was 6 years old, he already has 40 years of experience on playing guitar. Even if you're 30 years old, even if you have also started when you were 6 years old, Guthrie Govan has another 10 years of experience on top of you. You may also want to consider that you didn't listen to the same things when you were growing up. And you didn't practice the exact same way, nor the same song, nor did you have the same path. This just comes down to, we're all going to play differently from each other.
Really?
Even if you learn all of his songs and solos and licks, and watch every single video and lesson on it. It's not like you're going to become the new Guthrie Govan, you're just going to improve on yourself. But that doesn't mean you can't add a little bit of Guthrie Govan flavored playing to your style and make it your own. That's what's most important. And that is ultimately what I tried to achieve with the licks I showed you before and with the concepts I explained to you earlier. And I guess that's what I have to say. Anyway, thank you so very much for watching. Please leave a comment below. Do you have anything to add to this discussion? Perhaps something you also found out about Guthrie Govan's playing that you want to share with the guys? Also tell me in the comments. Did you like the video? Was there something I missed? Something I should have said? Do you have any suggestions for videos or what kind of videos I should make? Again, don't forget to leave it in the comments. As always, I'm giving away free one-on-one Skype lessons.
You serious?
And anyone can enter, but they are limited though, so you gotta be fast.
I don't think you have any idea how fast I really am.
And all you have to do to win one free Skype lesson and discounts on future lessons is to subscribe to my channel, turn on all the notifications, follow me on Instagram, like my Facebook page, and then DM me on one of those social media with screenshots proving that you did everything mentioned before. And yeah, I guess that's it. Again, thank you so very much for watching. Consider liking, subscribing, checking some of my other videos out, and cheers.